The St. Louis Jane Doe is an unidentified girl who was found murdered in an abandoned house on February 28, 1983 in St. Louis, Missouri. She has also been nicknamed Hope and the Little Jane Doe. The victim was estimated to be between 8 and 11 when she was murdered and is believed to have been killed by strangulation. She was raped and decapitated. The brutality of the crime has led to national attention. The head of the Jane Doe has never been located, preventing dental examination and the possibility of a traditional facial reconstruction. Discovery on the afternoon of February 28, 1983, two looters entered an abandoned Victorian house at 5635 Clements Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri. Inside, they discovered the headless body of an African-American child in the home's basement. The looters noticed the body after lighting a cigarette, which illuminated it. Her body was naked except for a yellow sweater, and had been left lying on her stomach, with the hands bound behind her back with red and white nylon rope. The victim was initially believed to have been a prostitute until police moved her body and discovered she did not have developed breasts, indicating she had not gone through puberty. Further examination was conducted within the next week. Investigation. Initial findings: it was concluded by law enforcement that the victim was not killed at the location where she was discovered, as no traces of blood were found by the body. This led to law enforcement to believe blood had been drained from her body elsewhere. Her stomach was also empty at the time of her death. The Missouri Botanical Garden performed mold tests on her body which determined she had been killed within 5 days of her discovery. The child had been bound at the wrists with a red nylon cord. Her head had been severed cleanly by a large blade, possibly a carving knife. She was between 8 and 11 years old and was prepubescent. She had also been raped. She wore only a yellow, long-sleeved V-neck sweater and 2 coats of nail polish on her fingers, both of them shades of red. Her head has never been found, but the fingerprints, footprints and DNA information have been collected. There were no distinct marks or deformities on her body, except for evidence of spina bifida occulta. She was approximately 4 feet 10 inches, 1.47 meters, 5 feet 6 inches, 1.68 meters tall when she was alive. 10 months after her discovery, with no new leads for investigators, she was buried at Washington Park Cemetery on December 2, 1983. The child's sweater had previously been sent by law enforcement to a psychic in Florida who wanted to touch it to receive a psychic impression. However, the sweater was never returned, and is presumed to have been lost in the mail. 4 missing girls have been ruled out as the victim, as well as the Northampton County Jane Doe from North Carolina, who was ruled out to be the remaining parts of the body. She was also presumed to have been a victim of Vernon Brown, who had murdered young girls in a similar manner. Brown was executed in 2005 and never confessed to murdering the Jane Doe, despite efforts made by investigators. 2013 exhumation: authorities decided to exhume the body in 2013 in order to gather more forensic information about the victim. The remains had been misplaced, along with many other bodies in the Washington Park Cemetery, due to the negligence of cemetery records, and were not found until mid-June. The remains were located by using camera calibration techniques to determine precisely where a photograph of the casket had been taken on the day of the burial. Isotope tests on samples of her bones were undertaken to determine the area the victim would have likely lived based on mineral content in her body. According to an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the test results concluded the girl was likely to have lived her entire life in one of 10 southeastern states: Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, Tennessee, or North or South Carolina. However, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children catalog entry alternately lists the Midwestern Mid-Atlantic states such as Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, or West Virginia. After the exhumation, the remains were reinterred at Calvary Cemetery in the Garden of Innocents, a section of the cemetery designated for unidentified decedents. See also List of unsolved deaths. The Duchess. References. External link: St. Louis Jane Doe at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, St. Louis Jane Doe at NAMA, St. Louis Jane Doe at the Doe Network, St. Louis Jane Doe at Find a Grave.